about when and how did you meet your husband?
So I met my husband in February of 2022. We met through friends. So I was living in California at the time. My friend was talking to someone in his section and they introduced us. Um, it was a "you like my voice" type thing. Um, and off bat, I let him know I was a plus size girl because there's a lot of stereotypes that come with big women and inmates. I let him know we were only going to be friends. I wasn't going to date him. And for about a year and a half, I was a runner. I was a track star. Like, I really tried really hard to just be friends with him, but I ended up falling in love with him. Yeah.
Blue, I wasn't able to hear your last words. I don't know if it was recorded. Could you you record
I fell in love with him.
Awesome. So I'll jump to the next question. The next question is, what made you fall in love with him and how did you confess that to him? And was it mutual?
So, one.
Awesome. So my next question to you is, what made you fall in love with him and how did you confess that to him? Was it mutual?
So, what made me fall in love with him? I mean, there's a lot of things that made me fall in love with him. Whether it's his goofy personality or the way he smiles. But what made me know that I was in love with him was the fact that he showed me it's okay to be loved and accept love without having to give anything. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Blue, how did you confess your love to him?
So a couple months into our friendship, we never really said "I love you." We would say "Oh, I got love for you, friend." It wasn't until we got together, which is April 14th, that we actually said "I'm in love with you." And he told me "I'm in love with you" first. And I told him I felt the same way, but that I wasn't sure I could be with someone who was in prison because I didn't know if he really wanted me or if I was just something that was passing time. And he really broke it down for me. And I sat outside of my house for a good hour and thought about it. And in every situation I thought about, he was everything that made sense. So when he called me back after I asked him to, I told him that I loved him just as much and that I didn't want to be without him either. And although I am not naive to the stereotypes of prison wives and prison relationships and met while incarcerated, that I didn't care. And I'm grown and I'm going to take this risk because I think he's worth it. And I'd rather live in the now than regret it later.
Amazing. So, Blue, you said that you both started to write to each other, like letters. So how often would you meet each other and speak to each other on phone before you started dating?
So we would write each other e-messages. every other day. And then every other day turned into every day, multiple times a day. And then there was a period where we didn't talk for a couple months. And then he called me one day out of nowhere, and it was when I needed him the most. My brother had just died. And we started talking again every day. And then we got together in April. And it took a little while for me to get on his visitation list. But in September, once I got on his visitation list, I started going to see him every other weekend.
Awesome. So I just have one clarity question, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
So, how, like, you met him through your friend, and how exactly did you start to communicate with him? Was it on e-messages or letters?
Oh, e-messages. So Texas is digital. So Texas doesn't have letters anymore. They have e-messages.
Awesome.
Every inmate in Texas, for the most part, has a tablet, like an iPad type thing.
Perfect. I'll jump to the question once you have your water.
Sorry. He got me sick.
No problem. Perfect. So, jumping to the next question. When and how did you decide to get married to him?
We had always talked about getting married, and honestly, I never really thought we would get married while he was in. Oh my god. So, when we got married, it was a kind of a spur of the moment thing. And I say spur of the moment thing because he asked me to marry him, and in Texas, it takes really long to get married. But I knew, like, when he asked me to get married, I was like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this now. Like, a shotgun wedding type thing. And in Texas, it takes really long to get married. The only place you can get married, shotgun wedding type thing, is in Kansas if you have a residence there, and I happen to have that. So what I did is I flew to Kansas and got married by proxy, which means is I got married without my husband physically there. And we got married in 20 days from meeting each other in person for the first time. Mind you, we had known each other almost a year and like 7-8 months, but we got married from meeting each other in flesh for the first time, 20 days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, talk to us about how you both got married, Blue. About your ceremony, how you both got hitched. How did you marry?
So, like I said, we got married by proxy. So, when I flew to Kansas, I went to the courthouse and the venue where we had to do the ceremony. We got him on the phone, and I was there with my witnesses and the officiant, and we got married. He did his vows, I did mine. We did our own vows, and we said them over the phone. It sounds so funny when I say it, but we said it over the phone, and we blew each other a kiss over the phone, and we got married. Like it was a super easy process. We got married by proxy. Now we do plan on having a wedding when he comes home. Like a vow renewal type thing. But yeah, we wouldn't get married since we're already married.
So, who attended your marriage? Who were your witnesses when you got married?
So my witnesses were my friend Brittany and my friend Taylor.
Awesome. And jumping to the next question, how did your family respond to your decision of getting married to your husband?
So, okay. And there's a lot of misconception because of my previous videos when it comes to my family's reaction. So, my family supports my relationship. My family loves my husband. My husband, or they have the phone set up. My husband calls my family. He calls my mom. He calls my dad. My family just didn't like the fact that we didn't wait to get married and we didn't tell them. I got married without my parents knowing. It wasn't because I was ashamed of what I did. It was because I knew they would try to talk me out of it. And I'm the type of person that I would rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Another thing is where I messed up was I told them via text instead of telling them in person. Like, I was in the car with them and I got out the car and I went to where I was going and I texted him and I was like, I married JB. I'm sorry I disappointed you, but I love him. But no, my parents, they support us. My parents have taken me to go see him. They're going to be added to his visitation list soon so they can go see him. My parents say that I'm grown and they know I love him and they're going to support us and they can see that he loves me too.
Okay. So, Blue, what sort of opposition did you think your parents would have? You said that you would rather ask for forgiveness than to ask permission. What were the worries you had if you told your parents or your family they would oppose the wedding?
When I mean oppose it, it was just because I had previously asked my mom what she would think if I married him while he was still in. What I mean by oppose is I had previously asked my mom if I were to marry him while he was still in, how she would feel, and she said she wouldn't be okay with it. So that's what I meant. Because she had previously told me she wouldn't be okay with it.
Okay. Jumping to the next question. You said that it was in the spur of the moment that you decided to get married. But in that span, did you have any sort of worries that ran by your mind when you were getting married?
No, because my first visit with JB, it wasn't a contact visit. I saw him through glass. And even through glass, I could feel him. I could feel his energy. I could feel the heat radiating off of his body. When we touched the glass, I could feel the static from his fingers. Like, I knew. And he had no hesitation. So, neither one of us regret it. I don't think either one of us questioned it. Neither one of us was like, wait, let's think about this. From the time we decided to do it, we were both on board. We were both on board.
Amazing. So, jumping to the next question. These are the questions that are going to touch upon your life today.
Mm-hmm.
So, now that you're married, how do you communicate with your husband?
We communicate the same way. We phone calls, e-messages, mostly phone calls, just because I guess in the beginning we were more lovey-dovey and it was more of, oh baby, I miss you, and writing love letters, and we still do that, but it's not as often. Now he pretty much just calls me and he's like, I miss you, I love you. But our most means of communication is phone calls. He calls me between 8 to 12 times a day. Sometimes it can go as much as 22. Sometimes it can be as little as 8. It really just depends. Not every call is the full 30 minutes because we get 30 minutes in Texas. Sometimes it's 5. Sometimes it's 2 because he'll call me just to say, babe, I love you. I'm just calling to check on you and hear your voice. And then sometimes I get a full phone call and we're cracking up and he's making fun of people in there. So it just really depends. But yeah, that's how we usually talk. But when it comes to like actual communication with each other, we have boundaries that we set. We respect each other and we don't just hear each other out. We actually listen to each other. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to this type of relationship is that you got to be able to communicate, but you got to be able to respect each other too. If there's no respect in this relationship, then it's not going to work.
Amazing. So, Blue, my next question to you is, how often do you get to meet your husband?
I go about every other weekend. I got really lucky in these past 3 weekends. I was able to go. This past weekend on the 14th was our 1-year anniversary, so I went then. And then the weekend before that was picture weekend. And the weekend before that was a friend's birthday, so we went because I ride with a wife. And so I went the last 3 weekends, but usually I at least go every other weekend or the first weekend of the month.
Amazing. So, are there any sort of difficulties that you face maintaining your marriage? Because it's not that he's always beside you and you guys are apart all the time. So, are there any sort of worries and difficulties that you face in this sort of a marriage, in this sort of a relationship?
I mean, there's difficulties. This lifestyle is not easy and it's not for the weak. I mean, I don't ever feel lonely. It's kind of like a missing and longing feeling because I'm not alone. I just miss him. You have to be used to you got to be used to I'm trying to figure out how to say it. You got to be used to not having that physical touch, the certain love languages that you're used to. See, when it comes to maintaining my relationship, I'm trying to figure out how to word this the best. I'm so sorry. Can you re-ask me the question?
Yes. I will pose the question again. So my next question to you is, are there any sort of difficulties in maintaining this sort of a marriage, which is very unconventional, not like other marriages?
Yeah, I guess just having like extra trust and being able to handle not being able to have the certain love languages that you have, physical touch, having that person around you. This lifestyle is not easy. It's not for the weak. You have to get used to being without your partner. But you also have to have a certain level of trust that you usually don't see in a lot of people. You have to be able to communicate on a level not a lot of people have. But you also have to handle judgment and criticism that you get from people. And that's a big thing. And I feel a big reason a lot of relationships don't last is because of outside sources. Outside reasons is misery loves company, and it takes a toll when all you hear from your friends and family is, we don't want your relationship to work.
Awesome. So I'll jump to the next question. Could you talk to us about how intimacy and closeness works for you in this type of marriage?
Okay, So clearly, I have to remain celibate because I'm not gonna sleep with somebody else while my husband's in prison. No, we don't cheat over here. Um, we do be having call girl 6 time. Phone intercourse is very much a thing. I'll be busting it wide open and throwing it back. I have a plethora of toys. As far as a whole machine goes, I've invested in. And my husband, we role play and get into it. Like, we make it work. Um, as far as our intimacy and that part of our life goes, like, we've also learned to stimulate each other mentally, with each other's likes. Um, also, like, spiritually as well, and emotionally, we connect with each other.
Amazing. So, was there any point of time that you felt dissatisfied with your intimate life because of your decision to get married to your husband who stays away from you?
I wouldn't say dissatisfied. I mean, of course, there's times where I'm like, these toys are not enough. And I'll tell him, and he'll take control and tell me when not to do it and when not to do it and how to do it. And those are the times he really gets into it. And he thinks he's like, he'll pretend like he really laying shit down. And I'm like, oh yeah, Big Daddy. Like, you really did your thing. And I be laughing so hard because, like, when he does that, it really be doing the job. Because sometimes that phone says be hitting better than some of the stuff in the real world did sometimes. I ain't gonna cap to you. But I've never been dissatisfied. It's more just like, damn. Toys work, but you need the real thing sometimes, girl. Like, I just need my husband. That's what it is. I just need my husband. They need to hurry up and free my husband.
Okay. So, could you share with us a few ways that you keep your intimate life active? Like, if you could share the ways that can help other women who are in the same journey as you. How do you keep it? How do you keep it active?
Yeah, role playing, toys, books, and learning each other, asking each other questions that are out of the norm, learn each other's likes, learn each other's dislikes, learn each other's past sex life, learn each other's spots. And when I mean spots, learn each other to the point where you can imagine each other's bodies and feel as if they were there. You can feel the mental stimulation. And when I say that is, when I go to visits, I touch my husband's arm a certain way. I touch his face a certain way. That way, when we have our intimacy time, or even when I know he's upset, I'll tell him, baby, close your eyes. Listen to my voice, close your eyes. I say, do you feel my hand on your arm? I said, I'm rubbing your arm. Do you feel my hand on your arm? I said, do you feel my hand on your cheek? I said, just close your eyes and my hand's on your cheek. And after practicing and doing that for so long, it becomes something that you really can use as a coping skill. And that does help with not just your intimacy and sex life, but as well as something that can help in your relationship, as far as something when they're upset, they're angry, or even something when y'all are just chilling. Like, me and my husband will lay down, we'll listen to music, and just sit there and talk, and I'll be telling him that. Yeah.
Awesome. So we've reached to the end of the interview, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the message that you'd like to give through your story?
Men in prison did what they did to end up there. I completely get that. And they're doing their time. But that doesn't mean they're not humans. That doesn't mean they're not people, and that doesn't mean they don't deserve love. And the women that love them are humans too. There is nothing wrong with them. They are normal. And women that love, and you women that love inmates, there's nothing wrong with you. You are normal. And if you're doubting your situation, baby, that man loves you. He sees you the way you need to see yourself, but he can't love you unless you love yourself. And if you think you see red flags, those red flags are red flags. I'm never going to tell somebody to stay with somebody if the red flags are there.
Awesome. So, my last question to you is there any advice that you'd like to give people who are in the similar journey as you?
Live by the 3 F's in life. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to ask me that again, you can ask me that again.
Yes. So, is there any advice that you'd like to give people that are on similar journey as you?
If they're not fucking you, feeding you, or financing you, their opinion doesn't fucking matter. These people do not matter. Because that man loves you. That girl loves you. That person's going to be with you today, tomorrow, and the next day. They were with you yesterday. These people do not matter. What they going to do for you? Nothing. They do not know you. They do not know your relationship. But there are red flags you need to look for. If he gets mad because you don't send something, if he withholds because you don't send something, that is a red flag. If he asks you to send something, that is a red flag. Make sure to look for the signs. Not all prison relationships are non-stereotypical. So I'm not saying go do it and not look for it. But not all of them are bad. Not all are good, but not all are bad. So don't be so quick to judge us. And it's still my man, my man, my man.
Awesome. We are done with the... Cool. So jumping to the next question. Could you talk to us about what is the key for your happy and trustful marriage?
Openness. Being open and being honest. There's a lot of people or a lot of women that be like, oh no, I'll take it to the grave. No, I tell my husband everything. Even if I know he won't like it. For instance, recently I had thoughts of cheating on my husband. When I say I had thoughts of cheating on him, your girl was sexually frustrated. And everything my husband did was getting on my nerves. So when I went to visit, I told him, babe, I'm horny as hell. And you're frustrating the fuck out of me. Why do you have to be in prison? Why? Like, you getting on my nerves. I said, I'm really having thoughts of cheating on you. And he's like, I understand. As long as you don't do it, I trust you. And I said, thank you. And then this past week, for the last 10 days, I haven't been able to talk to my husband because his unit has been without phone and internet service. And it's made me appreciate my husband so much more that I don't even have the thought of cheating anymore. Like, I miss my husband. And, like, I feel so crazy for even having that thought in the first place. But it's little things like that that, like, I talk to my husband about that some people wouldn't. But my relationship is very open. Me and my husband, we talk about a lot. I tell him pretty much everything. When I say he is my best friend, he is my best friend. We were friends before we were in a relationship. And I think that's one of the biggest things on why it works so well.
Awesome. So, my next question to you is, when is your husband getting released from the prison and how excited are you about it?
So, my husband's max date is 2042, but he is eligible for parole in 2028. So, we're praying and praying and praying, manifesting 2028. Catch us out there. But we're gonna have a party. We're gonna have a party. When my baby comes home, we're having a party. Um, we're gonna have a big old family barbecue. Cause he loves being outside. I love being outside. I love the water. We're gonna be on the lake and we're gonna have a big old family reunion cookout. Like, we're so ready for him to come home. Yes, I'm beyond ready for him to come home.
Awesome. That's so exciting. So, my next question to you, Blue, is, when did you decide to make your relationship, your marriage, open online? Like, when did you start talking about it online?
I started talking about my relationship when I went to go see him in person. So it did take me a while to get on his visitation list. When I went to go see him for the first time, I got a 2-day visit. So I documented the whole thing, and when I documented it, people noticed it, and I was brought into the whole prison wives, girlfriends world, and I didn't even know it existed. Before that, I was on Gaming Talk. I'm a gamer. I play Call of Duty. I stream Call of Duty, so that was my world. And I was quickly thrown into Prison Talk, and I just continue to share my relationship. Like, I don't glamorize this lifestyle. I wouldn't have chosen this lifestyle. I just so happened to have fallen in love with an inmate. And I love my man. But now that I'm with him and this is the lifestyle that I live, I'm going to share it because I know my experience and what I share may help another wife. There are a lot of women that are also new into this lifestyle that don't know what it's like. And I know sharing what I go through with my husband may help them in the future. But I started sharing this once I went to see him in the first time, because it was definitely a different experience. I had never been to a prison before. I didn't know what to expect. And my first time meeting him in person, I met his mom as well. So a lot happened that trip.
Awesome. So, Blue, when you were like talking about your relationship and were open, was there any sort of criticism, hate, or trolling that happened on you?
Oh, I get criticism all the time. I get trolling all the time. I get that he's gonna use or he's using me for commissary or for tax money. He's gonna leave me when he comes home. Um, yeah, that's usually what I get. Um, and like I said, I'm not naive to the stereotypes. Um, but at the same time, we could be together for 4 years in the free world and he leave me. He can come home and I not want to be with him. And at the end of the day, there's women out here being used for food stamps and a place to live. Who are they to judge me? And they can tell me what they want. I'm still gonna be with him. That's my husband. I'm already married to the man. He ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. He loves it here. I love it here. Like, any of the wives that I know who have husbands at the same unit as my husband that have met him, they be telling me all the time, my husband talked to your husband, girl. He just talks and brags and dotes on you. Like, that man loves you. And I'm like, I know. Like, my husband really does love me. And it's crazy because I really wish people would just get those crazy stereotypes out their head, because it's really like the crazy reality shows that gets those dumb like stereotypes in people's heads, and that's not always true. Not all people are like that. Um, but the backlash that I get is really wild. Like, baby, tax money? I ain't got no kids. I don't get no tax money. I pay taxes. Like, what money? And when I met my husband, I was broke. I was living in California. My parents were taking care of me. I couldn't feed myself. Like, some of the stuff they was talking about didn't even make sense. So, or doesn't make sense. So it's just kind of like, trolls be just saying anything. And a lot of it comes, like a lot of the stuff they say references my weight. And I can lose weight. Like, I'm losing weight. I used to be a lot bigger than what I am now. And I'm working on it. And my husband is like, it's kind of hard to lose weight when you have a man that loves you the way you are. And I'll be like, babe, you need to keep me accountable. And he'll be like, babe, did you walk today? And I'll be like, yeah. He's like, did you really walk today? And I'll be like, yeah. And we'll be at visit and he offers me a honey bun. Like, sir, you're supposed to be holding me accountable to this diet. You're not helping me.